Watch these pawns perform a magic trick to dismantle the defense. White lunges forward, pushing the pawn to f6, crashing into the king side. Black has to respond, capturing the pawn, but white follows up with a stunning second sacrifice. The pawn pushes to e6. This is pure destruction. If black decides to take this one too, with the pawn, then white simply ignores the loss and pushes the remaining pawn to g6, and it's an unstoppable touchdown to a new queen. Since that is a disaster, black desperately tries to scramble back with the king to stop the flood, but white is relentless. The pawn captures on f7, coming within an inch of promotion. The king is forced to block the path, but white delivers a clinical hammer blow. The pawn steps to g6 and the trap is shut tight. The king is now completely paralyzed on e7. If the king ever moves, white queens. If it stays, white's king will slowly march in to finish the job. Just look at that dominance.
Think twice before you accept a queen trade because you might be walking into a tactical minefield. White ignores the attack on the queen and pushes this pawn to h6, delivering a cold-blooded check. If the king decides to be greedy and captures the pawn, white's queen enters the attack with a check from f4. Black has a few choices, but they all lead to ruin. If the king goes back to g7, the queen captures on f7 with check. Whether the king hides in the corner or on the edge, white delivers a spectacular checkmate by capturing the pawn on h7, supported by that powerful rook on the 7th rank. Since taking the pawn is suicide, black tries to hide the king on f8. But this allows white to unleash the star move of the game, rook to d8 check. This is a legendary deflection. The black rook on c8 is the only piece guarding the black queen. By sacrificing the rook on d8, white forces that defender away. If black captures, the rook takes the bait, but now the queen is left completely high and dry. White snacks on the queen, leaving black with a crushing material deficit and a completely shattered position. White looks like they are down material, but black's king is about to face a total hurricane. Watch this rook maneuver. We kick things off by sliding the rook to g3, forcing the king into the corner. With the king trapped on 8, white finds the hammer blow. Rook to h3. This creates a deadly battery with the white queen, targeting the pawn. Black is completely paralyzed. If they try to create an escape square by pushing the pawn to h6, it is game over immediately. The rook captures on h6, and after the king steps out to g7, the queen delivers the final blow on g5 for a beautiful checkmate. Since there is no real defense, black is forced into a desperate queen sacrifice just to stay alive. The black queen captures on e3, checking the white king. White simply captures back with the rook. The immediate checkmate might be delayed, but white is now up a massive amount of material and is cruising toward an easy win. Black thinks they're winning after landing their queen on c2, but they've completely ignored the disaster waiting on their own back rank. The black king looks safe for now. He single rook. But white has a stunning move that ends the game on the spot. The queen captures on f7, checking the king and sacrificing itself. If the king tries to hide in the corner, white delivers an instant checkmate on the back rank. Instead, black must accept the sacrifice by taking the queen. But look what happens. The defender has been lured away, leaving the back rank wide open. The white rook on d6 charges down to the 8th rank with a check. Black is forced to throw the rook back to block the path, but it's a mate in 3 as white's second rook arrives on f8 to deliver the final blow. Black's queen just stepped into a total disaster. With the queen sitting vulnerable on g6 and the king tucked away on g8, white has a crushing tactical blow that ends the game on the spot. The knight leaps from f5 to e7, delivering the ultimate royal fork. The king is checked, and the queen is completely trapped. Black is forced to save their king, and tries, stepping over to h7. But it simply doesn't matter because white follows through and wipes the queen right off the board. Even after black recaptures the knight with the pawn, the damage is done. White has traded a knight for a queen and is now totally winning.
White thought their king was safe behind a wall of pawns, but they completely forgot to lock the back door. Black ignores the pressure on the center and strikes with the queen diving into f2 with check. This square is the critical weak point in White's defense. The king is forced into the corner at h1. Now comes the brilliant move White completely missed. A stunning queen sacrifice. The queen lands on f1, forcing the rook on e1 to abandon its post. Once the rook captures, the back rank defense is gone. Black's remaining rook on f8 delivers the final blow. Checkmate. That is a textbook way to punish a weak back rank.